Hi guys, and welcome back to Screaming for Horror. This is Rain. How are ya? In today's video, I wanted to talk about creepy and possessed mannequin stories. About a month ago or so, Twitter blasted with the story of a woman from Spain named Magdalena, who posted on a marketplace site a mannequin up for sale for 60 euros. The mannequin depicting what can pass as either a boy or a girl looks rather normal when you see the photos, but in her posting, she stated she wanted to get rid of it because she claimed it was possessed. Since then, people have been wondering if there's a particular story behind her allegation and if it's the actual truth or just another hoax like many others out there. Do you think there's such a thing as a haunted mannequin? Do you believe they can be possessed or even take a stroll at night when no one is watching? Some of the people in our next list seem to think so, since they have been witness to real-life possessed mannequins. But before we start, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more creepy and scary content. Number 1. The Dillards Mannequin. The next story was sent anonymously to the Ghosts and Ghouls website. I work at a Dillards in Florida. This particular mannequin stands near the front of the department by one of the main entrances of the main store, and we use it to display dresses and gowns. I work in juniors. It has always creeped me out. I feel like it's constantly watching me. We have 2 or 3 other mannequins in the department, but this one just feels wrong. On a particular night, right before closing, I was straightening a rack of clothes near the mannequin when I heard a loud scraping sound. Only one other person was working with me that night, but she was downstairs returning a pair of shoes. I thought someone else had come to drop something off, but when I turned around, I saw that the mannequin was facing away from the entrance instead of towards the door like it normally does. I won't lie, after seeing that, I ran to the other end of the department and refused to move until my coworker came back. I could have been imagining things, but I seriously doubt it. It's always faced the front. I think it turned back to watch me as I worked. But that's not all. A few weeks later, I came into work for a morning shift, and I found the mannequin in one of the dressing rooms. I was pretty freaked out to find it there, but I just assumed one of my co-workers had moved it. Soon after that, a member of the visual team came by and wanted to know where the mannequin was. I told her I was in the dressing room. She got pretty mad because the night before, she dressed the mannequin in one of our expensive gowns and had created a prom-themed display. I asked around, but everyone denied moving the mannequin. I'm not the only one who's had an experience. My coworker Rebecca was walking by the mannequin one night when she heard someone hiss, "Leave." She swears the mannequin also turned its head, but I can't verify that. Another time, a customer was checking out the price tag on the dress that the mannequin was wearing when she felt a shock like she had been electrocuted. She shrieked pretty loud, and my manager rushed over to see what was wrong with her. He's heard all about the mannequin, but doesn't believe there's anything to the stories. The latest and perhaps creepiest thing happened this week. A few days ago, one of our customers lost a locket while trying on some clothes. She was upset because her dad had given her the locket, and he's since passed away. We looked all over the dressing room and all around the department, but we didn't find it anywhere. The girl left crying, and I felt really bad, but I didn't know what else to do. Anyway, last night, I walked by the mannequin, and I found the damn locket hanging around its neck. Even more disturbing, the locket was empty. The picture that had been inside was gone. Number 2. A Cry for Help. The dark and rainy night of October 15th, 2007 in Tulsa, Oklahoma was like no other for EMT tech Courtney Cooper and her partner, Eric Hahn. A call was placed to the 911 dispatch center from a woman who was hardly able to speak, was highly in distress, and stated she was unable to breathe. They drove to a residential area in one of the worst parts of town. As soon as Courtney and her partner arrived, they announced themselves, knocked on the door, but they had no answer. They decided to enter the residence, and sure enough, they found the woman nearly unconscious, lying down on the floor and asking for help. Closing the door behind them and moving as quick as they could, they both started working on a woman who we would call Deborah. "Are you okay, ma'am? Can you hear me? Can you tell me what happened?" "It's on top of me. I can hardly breathe. I can't move," she replied. As Courtney kept working on Deborah, her partner Eric was standing a few feet away, taking Deborah's information. Suddenly, the air turned cold and the atmosphere shifted, according to Courtney. Still tending to Deborah, who was starting to fully come to, she saw from the corner of her eye someone opening the front door, but they were gone in a blink of an eye. "Deborah, is someone else in the house with you?" "No," she responded. "Just me and them." As Courtney turned around, 3 female mannequins were standing right behind Eric, all dressed up and with their eyes all fixated on her. The mannequins were dressed in very pretty vintage-style dresses, but they weren't there when they first came in. "Nice mannequins," Courtney said, as she continued to work on Deborah. "Oh yes, they belong to my grandmother. They have been in my family for years. You see, we are all dressmakers, but they don't like strangers in the house, and they don't let me leave." "Excuse me?" "Never mind." Suddenly and out of nowhere, I was pushed to the ground. I didn't fall. Someone had pushed me. I felt what was invisible hands on my chest, and I was on the floor without explanation. "Are you okay?" Eric asked. "Yes, I'm okay. I just lost my balance." I didn't know how I was going to explain what had happened, but when I looked again, the mannequins had shifted positions and were even closer to Eric than before. "Ma'am, I think we should take you to the hospital to make sure you're fully okay and for further examination." Deborah agreed to come with us, and all I wanted to do was get the hell out of there as soon as possible. As Eric decided to bring the gurney in, I stayed behind with Deborah. "You saw them, right? They did this to me. They get mad at me when I don't do what they want. They won't leave me alone. I cannot get rid of them." I didn't want to be rude, but honestly, I didn't want to know anything about it. I was creeped out as it was. I didn't answer her, and Eric walked in just in time. As we started to load her into the gurney, I had a few minutes to look around her house. She had a lot of old stuff lying around, from books to candles to weird symbols carved on her main dining room table. "Alrighty, ready to go," Eric said. We made our way to the door, and I asked her if she wanted me to lock behind, to which she replied, "No, it's okay. They will do it." We both gave her a puzzled look, especially Eric since he didn't know what she was talking about. As I was climbing into the driver's side to drive away to the hospital, I looked towards her front door, and all I saw was the shape of 3 people standing behind it. Number 3. The Warehouse Mannequin. A clothing warehouse worker in Yucatan, Mexico, who we would call Mike, ended up disagreeing with his boss one day. A few days later, Mike got fired and was ordered to vacate his job as well as the premises. To top it all off, Mike's ex-boss refused to pay him the days that he had worked and got away with it too. One night, a disgruntled Mike decided to break into the warehouse to see if he could steal anything of value to get back to his boss and the company. To Mike's misfortune, there was nothing worth anything, and taking a piece of heavy machinery was impossible. He suddenly remembered that a few days before he got fired, they had sent a mannequin to the back to be destroyed. He had heard stories surrounding the display, but at that point, he didn't care. He heard the night guard coming, so he grabbed the mannequin as quick as he could, and he took off. He took it back to his house, whom he shared with his mother, his sister, and 2 nephews. The family was weirded out the following day when they first saw it. It was a female dummy just like any other. The big difference was that the doll had real human hair and lashes. They had seen others before, but nothing like the captivating sight of a lifelike doll. He shared with his family the stories that he had heard from other employees, like supposedly how the doll would move around on her own, that she would disappear for a day or 2 and suddenly come back, that she would change clothes, etc. Just a bunch of tall tales, as he called them. His mother, disturbed by this, told him she didn't want it in her home, but he refused to get rid of her. A few days later, his nephews woke up between screams and sobbings, telling the uncle that the doll had shown up in the room and tried touching their heads. Mike got upset, didn't believe a word they said, and left the room. Strange occurrences kept happening, from whisperings, loud bangings, objects moving, etc. The family had grown increasingly upset and wanted nothing more than to get rid of it once and for all. A few weeks later, Mike found another job and decided to move out and told his family he was taking the doll with him. The job turned out to be a great opportunity, but it was out of state and Mike wasn't allowed to take any of his belongings with him, so he had to leave the dummy behind. The day came where Mike had to leave and had to tell his family he was leaving the mannequin behind. His mom was extremely upset, but decided to agree with him to make him happy. The doll was to be kept in a small storage shack they had behind their house until he came back for her. Until this day, Mike's mother has been stuck with her, and no word on Mike coming back anytime soon, except things have escalated. Now, according to his mom, she comes inside the house at a different time of the day without them knowing, and is making their life a living hell. On the other hand, his mom refuses to destroy her or burn her, which several people have suggested since she's afraid of any retaliation or curse on the mannequin's behalf. Number 4. La Pascualita, the beautiful bride of Chihuahua. We had previously spoken about the legend of the bride in one of our videos, but the story is too good not to share again. At the corner of Victoria and Ocampo in Chihuahua, Mexico, sits a famous bridal boutique named La Nacional. Aside from having everything available for the bride to be, you cannot miss the main attraction at the shop's window display. There stands a beautiful mannequin wearing a bridal gown in all of its glory. Except she's like no other. At first glance, La Pascualita seems to notice you, and suddenly you start getting the feeling like her eyes are following you around like an old painting. But if she happens to smile at you, then you are one of the lucky ones that have had the pleasure to witness a smile from her. The story goes that on a typical day back in the 1930s, owner Pascualita Esparza brought the mannequin over from Paris to her shop. As soon as she went onto display, she immediately started to draw attention from the people in town. Initially named Chonita, soon after, people started to call her La Pascualita, thanks to the resemblance she had with her owner, and the name stuck ever since. Sometime after her arrival, small things started to happen. People claimed that she would follow them with her sight, while others claimed that the mannequin had smiled at them. It wasn't until after her owner's death in 1967 that those strange occurrences started to happen, and things got even worse. Several employees of the shop had to suddenly quit, since they've claimed that every time they would change her gown, they would see small little red veins popping from her eyes and also from her legs, like if she were to be alive. Others have stated that they have seen her climb down from her pedestal and walk around the store at night. Throughout the years, many others speculate that she's the preserved embalmed corpse of the owner's daughter, who passed away the day of her wedding day, tragically bitten by a black widow spider or a scorpion. With realistic-looking features, most people walk away convinced that she has to be real, while others think that it has to be a marketing campaign to gain publicity. True or not, it's without a doubt an extraordinary and creepy tale. On October 20th, 2017, beer maker company Victoria and the Legends Hotel in Mexico City took the Pascualita out of her native Chihuahua for the first time since she had arrived for a special event where they displayed and showcased a 10-episode miniseries of various famous Mexican urban legends. Upon her return, the people of Chihuahua were outraged to find out that a similar Pascualita was brought back instead of the original beloved icon. To this day, the shop refutes these accusations and insists that it's the same Pascualita that's always been. But you check the picture and you be the judge. Some others claim that she was even bought by a private collector, but this we will never know. Number 5. The Universal Studios Mannequin. This was anonymously sent to Brian Clune, author of Haunted Universal Studios. Most of us are aware that Universal Studios in Orlando has a rich history of hauntings inside its park, but one special one comes directly from a store called Production Central. According to 2 employees working there one day mid-afternoon, having a good amount of guests at the time, one of them noticed that one of the mannequins near the front of the store was moved. It was supposed to be facing the front of the shop, but now it was turned away from the entrance and was facing the back of the wall. One of the clerks said that he had placed it correctly, while the other clerk just thought an unruly guest had just moved it around, thinking it would be funny. So the clerk fixed the mannequin to its original position and went back to business. 10 minutes or so had passed by, and the clerk who had initially arranged it back into place glanced over and realized once again it had been moved to face the back of the store. This time, The employee looked around the shop to see if they noticed anyone that looked familiar, thinking someone was playing a joke on them while they weren't looking. He didn't see anyone remotely familiar, so he then again went to fix the dummy, told his coworker about it, and they both decided to keep an eye out to catch the culprit. Once the crowd had thinned out, the two clerks were able to finally take a breather and started talking behind the cash register. One of them yet again noticed that the mannequin had turned away, but they both kept an eye on it for the past hour, so no one had touched it, not even a guest. The original employee was upset at this point and once again went towards it and moved it, but this time, as soon as he turned around, he saw his coworker let out a loud gasp. When he asked her what was wrong, she pointed back to the mannequin, and as he turned around, the mannequin was facing the back of the store again, but this time she had witnessed it. It had moved on its own. He thought she was having fun with him, when out of the corner of his eye, he saw the dummy blinking and turning a little bit more. They both bolted towards the exit and left the store. Once outside, they both realized they had left the shop unattended. Neither of them wanted to go back inside, but they had no choice. They both agreed on approaching the mannequin and asking to please not move the rest of their shift and to leave them and the customers alone and not scare them. They were both relieved to see that the figure had stayed put the rest of the day, and since then, neither has seen the mannequin ever move again. If you have a ghostly experience, a close encounter, or want to share any photos or videos of strange phenomena, feel free to send us an email at screamingforhorror@gmail.com, and your story could be featured in one of our future videos. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe and follow us on our Facebook page for more. And remember, until next time, sweet screams.